Hello everyone and welcome to today's webinar. My name is Jace and I am well versed in software. There are two ways that you can ask questions during today's webinar. You can click the raise your hand button or you can type that question in the chat and I'll see it there. Today we will be covering the processes of setting up and working with my account, activating PlanSwift, importing plans to create a new job, and editing pages. We will then go into scaling a page, all the major Takeoff tools and how to use them effectively, as well as some other essential functions. So first off, we're going to start off with the My Account portal, which is right here on PlanSwift.com. So you can get to there by going to PlanSwift.com, or you can find the My Account link in the Help tab on PlanSwift as well. So you just click this My Account link up here in the top right-hand corner, and you're going to log in with your email address and password. And once you are logged in, you'll see this screen right here for My Account. This home screen is going to show you information on your sales rep who is assigned to your account. So if you need any help with your account, you can go ahead and contact them here. Underneath the account tab, you're going to see information about your account. So you can see here there's information about the account, and you can change your billing address here as well if you need to. So that way, if you move or anything like that, you can keep your billing address up to date. The next tab is the My User tab, where you can see information about the user who is currently logged in, and you can change your password from here if you need to as well. The next tab is the All Users tab, and this actually shows information on all the users who have access to this My Account portal right here. So you can see who has access, you can edit their accounts and or remove them. This is also where you can manage some of your licenses if your account is set up this way. If you're not sure how your account is set up, you can go ahead and call our tech support and they can help you out with that. The next tab is the Invoices and Estimates tab, and you can see here any estimates that are outstanding on your account. So this is for you to purchase PlanSwift or any of our plugins. So you can go ahead and open up that right there by clicking the arrow and see what items are underneath that invoice, and you can also view a PDF of that here to see a PDF view of that invoice. And then you can also pay that right there as well. Let's see, get that page back up. All right, you can go here to order history to see any of your previous orders with PlanSwift. So you can go back and see anything that you've purchased on your account and see the information on that. This last tab is one of the most important tabs. This is the License tab. This shows you which PlanSwift licenses that you have. And you can click this little arrow right here to drop down and see where they're all in use. So you can see all the accounts that are there and all of them that are in use. Last tab is a support tab, and this will show you any of your open tickets. This is kind of a test account, so you'll see some of this information here. This isn't really actual information, but if you have any open tickets, they'll be displayed right here, and you can go and see your resolved tickets as well if you would like to go back and see an issue that you have resolved. If you need to submit a ticket, you can go ahead and click on the support at .planswift.com and log in with your credentials to manage your support account. All right, so let's go ahead and get into the actual software here. So I'm going to close this out and we'll go right here into PlanSwift. First thing we're going to handle though is activation and licensing. So for every PlanSwift license that you have one open seat for a computer to be using PlanSwift at a time. So if you have one license for PlanSwift, you can only have it active on one computer at a time. Now you can have PlanSwift installed on as many computers as you want, but you can only have it active on one at a time. So to activate your license, you can go to the Help tab here. This is where you'll go to find any help information that you need, but what we're looking for is right here is the Software License Options button. It's this little silver key. This means that your copy of license or your copy of PlanSwift is active, so you know that your copy is good and you can use PlanSwift. Now, if you haven't activated, I'll just go ahead and remove it real quick to show you what that looks like. You'll see this gold arrow right here that says Activate PlanSwift Professional. So this means your copy is not active. You're only using the free viewer mode, and you need to put in your credentials to activate your full software. So to do that, you can just click this Activate PlanSwift Professional. You'll put in your customer number and your PIN number. It'll look a little bit different than mine, and you'll just click Activate Now, and that will activate your copy of PlanSwift. So now, if you only have one license, you can actually move this license to another computer if you need to. You just need to deactivate it on this computer first. So let's say we're going to be doing that. We want to move this license to another computer. What you're going to do is go up here to this silver key for Software License Options and click Remove License. and say, yes, I'm sure I want to remove this license. And now you've freed that up to be installed on another computer. So now you can go to that second computer and do the same process, click that gold arrow, and activate using your customer number and PIN number. Now, if you don't have an internet connection, you can perform a manual activation by clicking this button right here. Click manual activation, and you can go to this website on a computer that does have an internet connection and put in your customer number, PIN number, and your computer ID, and that's going to give you a activation code to read back, or you can just call our support and that they'll help you out with that as well. We'll just activate the normal way for now. All right. Okay, so now we're good to go ahead and start using the software. So I'm going to go back here to the Home tab, and what you'll probably see is this sample plan right here. This is the sample plan that displays for all PlanSwift when you first open it. So now we need to go ahead and create a new job. This is going to be bringing in our own plans to use. We're going to be working off this sample plan for the rest of the webinar, but I'm going to show you how to bring your own plans into PlanSwift. So you'll click this new button right here in the Home tab. It's the first button on the Home tab. And this is where we go to create a new job. So in the job or quote number, you can put any combination of numbers or letters. So this can be whatever you want to be so you can keep track of your own jobs. And you can put an additional description or notes in here if you need to as well. This new job location right here only has drop down for local right now. This is for a storage location where you can set up the files to be saved on your computer. If you need to go through that, you can give our tech support a call. They'll help you walk through it. It's just a little bit more involved than we get into in these webinars. All right, and then we'll click the next page or next button right here. And this is where you'll actually go to find your blueprint files. So you probably won't see your blueprints right away. You'll want to click this browse button right here. And this allows you to go through and find on your computer where your blueprints are stored at. So for me, that's under my pictures folder and then my blueprints folder. So right now we're only finding the folder where we know the blueprints are stored at. So you'll notice I'm not actually seeing my blueprint files yet. I'm only looking for the folder. So I'll go ahead and click OK, and then all the files that are available will fill in this window right here. So you can check the box for as many as you need to bring in. You can do multiple, you can do just one, however you need to bring in those files. You can also check all or uncheck all if you need to. And click next. And this last page is the convert settings page. The most important setting on this is this convert PDF to TIFF files, and we do recommend that you leave that checked. This just makes them run a little bit faster in the software. PDF files are compressed where TIFF files are not. So by having them as a TIFF file, you'll get a little bit faster performance out of the files. But if for any reason you need to leave them as PDF, you can uncheck that so that they don't convert, but most of the time you'll want to leave this checked. Go ahead and click next, and now your job is ready to create and bring into PlanSwift. So you can hit finish to go ahead and finish that up. I'm not going to do so for this webinar, but now you know how to run through that process. Okay, so now that you've brought your plans into PlanSwift, there's a couple things you can do to change those pages. So let's go to this page right here on the left-hand side. This is rotate this page. And by the way, I should probably explain this window real quick. So on the left-hand side, we have the Pages and Bookmarks pane. This gives you all the different pages that you have available in your plans. So you can see here they're all named differently. On the right-hand side is your templates, parts, and inputs, and we won't get into those until a later webinar. And then this main window shows your actual plans here. So most of the time when you bring in a PDF file that has multiple pages, they're all going to be named the same thing. You won't actually see this where all the pages have different names. You're going to want to rename them so you know exactly which page you're going to. So to do that, we're going to go here to the Page tab, and it's this tool right here that says Batch Rename Pages. Go ahead and click on that, and it puts you into the Batch Rename Pages tool. So this shows you right here what the current name of the page is, and you can type the new name in right here in this little box right here, and then hit Save and Next to go to the next one. And you can use these little arrow buttons right here to navigate to the different corners of the plan, so you can easily find what the name of that page is, so you can rename it fast. So this is a really quick tool to help you rename your pages really quick. Just go Save and Previous and go back to this other page. All right, we can click this Add Pages button, which is just to the left of the batch rename pages. So if you missed any pages or you get any revisions from your architect or anything like that, you can just click this Add Pages button right here and go from Image Files. And it's pretty much the same process. You're just going to go ahead and find on your computer where those files are and bring them into your job. And this is really handy so that way you don't have to create a brand new job. You're just adding pages to the current job. All right, so the next tools we can do are the rotate. So obviously this page right here is rotated 90 degrees, so we need to get it into the correct orientation. So we can click this rotate left button to rotate it into the right position, and now it's set. We can do the rotate right as well. You can also rotate it 180 degrees if it's completely upside down. And you can use this level tool to level it out. So with the level tool, what you'll want to do is click that. You're going to go on the longest horizontal edge of your building. You're going to click on the left-hand corner of it, and then go over and click on the right-hand corner. And that will level the page to that line. So that's going to be your exact horizontal line for that page. So if your page comes in just a little crooked, that's a great way to level it out. Now this last tool I'm going to show you is really handy for breaking things out into their own pages. So let me see if I can find this plan. I always lose it. All right, here it is. So if you have a page like this that has all different details on it, where each one has its own scale, you can only set one scale per page. So if we did a measurement on this one and then changed the scale and did a measurement on this one, this measurement would now be inaccurate. So we want each item to be its own page when we do a takeoff on it. So we're going to use this crop as new page tool right here to bring one out into its own page. So let's just do this trash enclosure wall right here. So we'll go ahead and just click the crop as new page button and then click and drag a crop box over that area. So this is going to be the area that is going to be the new page. I'll just let my mouse go to make that. We'll give it a name. So I'll call this one trash enclosure wall and click OK. And now we have our brand new page. It's all separate from it, and we can set its own scale independently. All right, so let's go back to our first page. We're going to go to the rotate this page. This is going to be the one we're going to work off of for most of the rest of the webinar. Let's go back to the home page, and let me show you a couple of different ways to navigate around. So these are your navigation tools right here. You can use the zoom box right here to click and drag a zoom box over the area that you'd like to zoom in on, and it'll zoom you right into it. And you can also click the Fit to Page button to zoom back out to an overview of the page. You can use these zoom in, zoom out, and pan tools, but I'll show you a way that's much easier and saves you a lot more time, and you won't have to switch between tools so often. So if you want to zoom in on something, just use your scroll wheel and point and click, or just point your cursor on the area you'd like to zoom in on, and then use your scroll wheel to zoom in. And you can use your scroll wheel to zoom back out, and then point your mouse cursor to a different place and zoom in on that location. So you can see every time you zoom, it's based on where you point your mouse. Now once you're zoomed in, if you'd like to adjust your view just a little bit, all you have to do is right click and hold. So we're using the right click on the mouse and holding that and dragging around the page to move our view around. So that's a really easy way to pan around, and that works during any of the major takeoff tools as well, so you don't have to keep switching between them. All you have to do is right click and move around the page. All right, so now the next thing we're going to do is to do some of our takeoffs. But before we can do that, we have to make sure that this page is scaled correctly. And I believe this has got a scale from the old ones. Let me clear it out. Okay. All right, so scaling the page is one of the most important things that you can do in PlanSwift, and it's important that you do it right. The reason for this is that your scale is what sets all your measurements. So if it's inaccurate or incorrect, all of your measurements are going to be incorrect, and so will your estimates. So to do the scale, there's two different ways. You can do an auto scale or a manual scale. So let's do the auto scale first. The auto scale is just finding the scale that is set by the architect. So you can see here this 1/8 inch equals a foot is our scale. So all I have to do is click the bottom half of the scale button here and go 1/8 inch equals a foot. We'll just go ahead and click agree. I'll explain what that's saying in a second. And now your page is scaled and it works, or all your measurements should be good. Now, what that little pop-up box was saying is that if your page has been resized since it was originally scanned, it may be inaccurate. So you're always going to want to double check a dimension before you do your measurements, just to make sure that that auto scale is correct. Because if the page has been squished or stretched, those measurements will be inaccurate. And that can happen for any number of reasons, but you always want to double check that. So we'll use this dimension tool right here to go ahead and do that. So I'll click that, and now all we're going to do is draw a known dimension. So you can use anything that you know. If it's one of these dimension lines, or if you know what the width of a doorway is, you can use those to check them. We're going to use this 16 foot right here. So I'm going to click on this line, and I'm going to click on the other side of the line. And that draws our dimension. You can see here PlanSwift thinks this is about 10.5 feet, which we know is inaccurate because it's supposed to be 16 feet. So we know that this page has been squished or stretched since it was originally scanned, so the auto scale is not going to work on this. We have to do a manual scale. So right now we're still in the dimension tool. You can see this digitizer record mode is still highlighted, so all we have to do is right click and hit stop, or we can press escape on our keyboard. Okay, so let's go ahead and do our manual scale now. So for the manual scale, we want to click the top half of the scale button first. And we want to clear out this old scale. We want to click this clear scale button here. And that's going to clear it out to make sure that we don't have that old scale interfering. All right, to perform a manual scale, you'll want to get the largest horizontal direction or dimension and the largest vertical. So find those two, and then once you're ready, you'll click the top half of the scale button again. And you're going to type in that dimension. So 57 feet and 4 inches is this largest horizontal dimension. We'll go ahead and click OK, and now we can go ahead and draw that line. So that's what we're going to do, is just go ahead and click on the left side of that line, and then click on the right side of this line. What we're telling PlanSwift is that this line right here that we just drew is exactly 57 feet and 4 inches. So now PlanSwift has a way to reference this line against everything else it draws. So now we've got the horizontal scale done, but we have to do the vertical scale too. It's not enough just to do the horizontal, we have to do vertical as well. You can tell we only have horizontal done right here because over in the Pages and Bookmarks pane, you can see the little arrow icon right here, so it only has the horizontal line, we don't have the vertical. All right, so let's go ahead and repeat the process. So we're going to go ahead and do the scale button again. And this time we're going to do the 61 feet and 6 inches. So 61 feet, 6 inches. Click OK. We're going to click on this line here. Oops. There we go. Got it. And then right-clicking to pan down and click on this line right here. So now we've told PlanSwift that this line right here is exactly 61 feet and 6 inches. We can go back and check our original dimension line, and you can see it's right here, 16 and almost an inch. This would have been a little bit more accurate if I would have spent more time drawing those lines, but I wanted, in the interest of saving time, I was just drawing those lines very quickly. All right, so let's go ahead and get into our takeoff tools now. So we'll just go ahead and go down the row here. So the first tool is the area tool. Its default measurement is in square feet. It's used to get measurements for things like floors, ceilings, asphalt, or stucco, or siding on your elevation plans. So go ahead and click on that icon, and it'll give us this little pop-up box right here to give it a name. So we'll go ahead and call this one Warehouse. And you can also choose a color as well. So let's do a blue for this one. We'll click OK, and now we're in digitizer record mode. You can see this red button is highlighted, and we're ready to record this area. So what we're going to want to do is zoom in on the corners and just work either clockwise or counterclockwise around the room. So we'll just go ahead and click on each corner to measure out this area. Now it's important that you work clockwise or counterclockwise, because if you skip a corner, so let's say I skip that corner and go all the way over here, and then come all the way back, you can see that's not going to record the area correctly. So if you make a mistake like this, or you misclick somewhere, it's really easy to fix these mistakes. You just hit the backspace button on your keyboard, and that's going to go back 1 point in time for every time you press the backspace button. So it's really easy to fix those mistakes. If you misclick on accident, or you're not as accurate as you want to be, very easy to fix that. Okay, so once we've finished all these points, we just got the last one right here. We're finished doing our recording. So all you have to do is right click and hit stop, or you can press escape on your keyboard. Both work the same. So now that takeoff is recorded, and you can hover over it to see its measurements. So you can see this is 1900 feet, just a little bit over. And you can see over in the left-hand side in the Pages and Bookmarks pane, we have that item there as well with the total. All right, so another couple things you can do with this is you can actually add on a section to this. So if there's a other area that you want to be included in this measurement, but it's not exactly attached to this area, you can do that by right-clicking on it and hitting New Section. So what this is going to do is it's going to allow you to create a brand new section, so we can add it off over here to this side. You can see it's not connected to the first one, but it's going to add up to the total. So I'll right-click and stop, and you can see this one has its own independent measurement of about 500 square feet, but over on the left-hand side, that total is updated with both of those. Another thing you can do is subtract from the inside of an area. So if you have like an island in the middle of this warehouse that is not going to be included in your estimate, you can right-click on that and then hit Subtract From Section. And all you have to do is click on that, and then you can remove that section out, and you can see it's going to subtract that square footage out. So it's just under 300 square feet, and the original one has been updated. All right, so there's another couple tools here with the area tool. You can click the drop down box right here. You have the roof area, the cubic yards, the grid tool, things like that. You can use those for their specific use cases. I'm not going to go over those in today's webinar, but just so you know, those are available. So like with roof area, you can put in your pitch and slope, so that way you get your accurate areas. All right, so let's go ahead and move on to the linear tool. So that next tool is linear. This one is going to have a default measurement in linear feet. It can be used to get measurements for things like walls or window trim on your elevation plan. So we'll go ahead and click on that. It's going to give us the same prompt to give it a name. So we'll call this one exterior walls. And let's do a red for this one. Okay. So now we can just go ahead and start drawing our points, and you can see it's going to go in one long continuous line. So every time we click between different points, we're just extending out that line. Okay, so now all I have to do is right click and hit stop, and we're done there. So that's it, pretty much it for the linear tool. Pretty simple, straightforward. You're just going to get one long measurement. When you hover over that, it's going to give you the total linear footage. The next tool is the segment tool, and it's almost exactly the same as the linear tool. It's just got one major difference, so we'll call this one interior walls. Green's okay for that one. The segment tool allows you to draw different segments. So let's say that we're measuring these walls right here. You can see as I click between the different points, it's not doing one long continuous line. I'm getting a line segment for every single time I click between these. So I'll right click and stop here, and I can hover over this one. You can see this one's about 8 feet, this one's about 8 feet, this one's about 14, but it's all totaled up right here. So this is really helpful for when you have to measure a linear distance, but there's lots of breaks in it. All right, so our last tool is the count tool, and it's one of the simplest tools in the program. We're just getting a count of items. So let's go ahead and do doors for this one. You can do things like doors, windows, columns, signposts, things like electrical sockets, light, fixtures, things like that. You can also choose a shape for it as well. So I'll choose square for this one because that kind of makes sense for doors. We'll click OK. And now all you have to do is just click the different points that you need to represent. So for doors, we're just going to click on every single door in this plan. So we'll just go ahead and click on all those. And there's one down here too. Okay, now I have 8 points, and I can right click and hit stop, and you can see we have 8 points right here, so we only have to install 8 doors, and we can do our calculations based on that. All right, so this last tool I want to show you is one of the most powerful tools in PlanSwift, and it is new to 10.1. So if you are on an older version of PlanSwift, you'll need to be on 10.1 to use this one. So you'll click, let's go to this floor plan right here. Let's say you wanted to get the area measurement of this driveway right here. You can see how windy and curvy it is, and it's going to be really hard and difficult to get this measurement. So we can use this single click tool right here and just choose area. We'll just go ahead and leave it at that. And all you have to do is click inside the area that you'd like to measure. So we'll just go ahead and left click right there, and you can see it's given us a preview of what that area is going to look like. So if we're good with that, we can just go ahead and hit escape to stop that. And now we have completed that measurement. So you can see how quick and easy that was, and we got our area measurement. Now this only works when you have a really nice clean separation like this. So you can see this one had a really nice border around it. If you have lots of breaks or lots of dimension lines running all over, it may be a little bit more difficult to get this, and you can add up multiple you can click multiple times to get more areas, but for things like this it works really, really well. So you can also do a single click subtract from section. So if you just right click on that and then do single click subtract section right here, you can go ahead and do the same thing. We'll just subtract this island out right here. Just left click on it. You can see it gives us a preview of what that looks like, and just hit escape to stop, and you can see that has subtracted out that island really nicely for us. All right, so let's go over some other essential functions in the program. So the first one I want to go over is an overlay. So let's say that you get new plans from your architect, something's updated, or you need to compare different levels or something like that. You can create an overlay by clicking this overlay button in the top right hand side. It's one of the last buttons on the home tab. So go ahead and click overlay, and we're just going to do a standard overlay, and you're going to choose the file that you want to be on top of the original one. So let's go ahead and just choose this overlay, this page. That's going to be the one that goes on top, and click finish. You're almost always going to want to click align unless it's aligned perfectly to start. So we'll go ahead and click yes. What you're going to do is click the top left corner of the overlay, which is the one in red. So we'll click on that, and that picks it up. We're just going to left-hand click on the top left corner of the original. So now you can see it's aligned really well, but it's not scaled perfectly. You can see it's scaled back out. So now we have to left-click on the bottom right-hand corner, and that picks it up. And now we can drop it right here on top of the original. So it's just 4 quick, easy steps. You're just going to click on the top 2 left corners and then click on the bottom right-hand corners. And now you can see we have the perfect overlay here, but there's a lot going on. All of our takeoffs are kind of getting in the way of seeing what the differences are. So we can click these little light bulbs right here off to the right-hand side of each item to turn them off. So you can see that turns the views off, and now I can just compare what the differences are in these 2 plans. So you can see this office has changed to a square office. It used to be a circular one, and then they've added this building off to the right here. So you can turn the overlay off using the same way, and you can click this button that's right here to the left of the scale indicator to turn all of your takeoffs back on. And this does not delete them, it only turns their view off. All right, so another couple things we can do is we can get a legend to show up on the page if you'd like a more visual representation of your measurements. All you have to do is right click on some blank area and click the show legend button. This will bring up a legend that you can use to represent all of your different measurements. And then one of the last things we can do is also print the job out. So if you want to click this print button right here in the home tab, you can print various pages off by checking them. You can also click print current view, which is basically a screenshot, but this one is much more clean. And you can also email the job out if you need to. So we'll click the email job. You'll just want to do email plans. And make sure you click the select all button. Otherwise, they're just going to get an empty plan because it's going to make sure to include all the different pages in your plans. Click next, and then you can put in your information right here and then put the recipients that you'd like to send them to. Now, you can still send them to people who do not have a copy of PlanSwift. If they don't own a license, they can still view them in our free viewer mode. But if they do have a license for PlanSwift, they'll be able to change any of your takeoffs and work with the plans as well. All right, so that pretty much covers it for today's webinar. I'll just wrap up quickly. So today we covered logging into the My Account portal, as well as the fundamental processes of activating PlanSwift, creating a new job, editing the pages on the Page tab, scaling a page, all the major takeoff tools and how to use them effectively, and some other essential functions in the program. You're welcome to come back if you feel this information was covered too quickly. These sessions do repeat weekly. And stay tuned for tomorrow's class on estimating advanced parts and assemblies, where we get into the real power of PlanSwift by estimating out all our material quantities and costs and create a custom database for your business. Now, keep in mind this webinar is just a general overview. If you need trade-specific one-on-one assistance, we do have training packages that are available. These trainings are really awesome. You're going to sit down with one of our estimators and get 3 hours of dedicated training time that's really specific to your needs, and they're going to personalize the training to what you need to know and what you need to learn. So really, really awesome. They're not going to teach you anything that you already know. Really recommend these trainings if you need them. And by attending today's webinar, you can get a 10% discount on the cost of those training. You can just call 888-752-6794, dial extension 1 for sales or 2 for tech support if you have any specific questions. All right, so that's pretty much it for today's webinar. Thank you everyone so much and have a great day.